March 3rd, 2018. Earlier in the day, Jeff had received an award from the Colorado Alliance for Environmental Education. Denise was with him at an event downtown. In the meantime, in Parker, at the Black Bear Golf Club, helpers had been at work. Here's the front door of the Black Bear Golf Club. And inside, the room had been prepared by a number of people who were in on the surprise for the surprise party. They had one of their party rooms reserved and had been decorated to some degree prior to people arriving. Denise had snuck a number of Jeff's awards over the years out of the house without his knowledge. Not quite sure how that happened. The tables had been prepared, very attractive, and the desserts had been made with an outdoor theme, cupcakes and other things like that, as you see. So at this point, everyone was waiting for Denise and Jeff to arise. They'd come up with some excuse on why they'd show up there at the golf club. Even the deer outside were waiting for Jeff's arrival. The room had been prepared, and the guest had arrived, and the signs were there that had directed the guest into the prepared room.
I'm good. Yeah.
Enjoy the time here today. Go outside, it's a beautiful day. And I'm going to start crying. Go ahead. And once again, thank you for supporting Jeff and supporting us and all that he's done. And thank you for the people that were at the luncheon, Wendy. And Aaron's here. And all the people that have worked with him, golfed with him, gone to church with him, and dinner clubs with him. I mean, this is all the people you've ever known. This is it. All the members.
And this is the ones that are still alive.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Speech.
I don't need to say anything other than they really said, "Oh my gosh, wait!" I'm like, this is unbelievable. They said some really nice things about me there, made me feel kind of overwhelmed. But it's really cool to be at this point in your life and look back and say, that was fun. Not only was it fun, but it was worthwhile. And thank you.
And she's trying to find the microphone because I know there are some people, many people I'm sure, including Bob Wood, I see you back there, Kathy Ravenel, wherever you are,
Oh my gosh.
Laura Arndt, our daughter, our one daughter Sarah, our other daughter Sarah Beth is in Reno, so she can go. And I know a lot of you have some fun stories to tell, having to do with wildlife. I'm losing my voice already. So we'll get a microphone and you guys can share. Go ahead and enjoy. There's lots of Okay, so last night we're in Saltgrass, the Saltgrass restaurant in Parker, and we were waiting for the family to come to have dinner. And there's a waitress and a waitress in training that comes over to the table. And if you've ever been to Saltgrass, they have a lot of animal heads, right? Right, Ryan? Kind of, rivals your collection. So Jeff stands up and asks the waitress, "Do you know what these are?" And the poor waitress is like, "That's an elk." And he said, "No, that's a caribou." "Oh, that's an elk. Okay." Then, he's going through all the heads, and then he starts this whole rhetoric about those are both deer, and they're two different kinds of deer. One's a mule deer, one's a white-tailed deer. And he goes on and on about the difference between them and how this is the only place in the country where they live. And this poor lady, it's packed in Saltgrass. And everybody, these poor ladies are trying to serve their people, but Jeff had to do his thing for environmental education. So I challenge you, the next time you go to Saltgrass, ask what those are. It's going to be part of their training. Well, I did want to say that being married to a wildlife person all these years has been extremely interesting. When we were first married, I remember going into the freezer looking for something to get out to defrost for dinner. And there was something wrapped up in aluminum foil. I'm like, "Oh, what's this?" I don't remember wrapping anything up in aluminum foil. And I take it out of the freezer and I open it up, and it's a red-tailed hawk. And then I guess there's a little wine sauce. I don't know. I've never been tried. So he would bring home things, and I'm going to bring my daughter up and her grandson, my grandson, to tell about some other things, what it's like to grow up with a dad who's in with wildlife.
Want me to talk?
Yeah.
Well, this wasn't planned.
Yes, you got lots of stories. This is my grandson, Bowden. Isn't he the cutest kid in the world? And he's taking after his Papa, Jeff, because all he wants to do is go out and search for bugs.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay,
You don't have anything, right? She's got nothing.
okay, I guess the one thing about growing up with him as my dad is you would come downstairs and there'd be cooler in the hallway, and there's an animal inside. Not like soda. There's like going to be a snake or something inside that cooler. So, I think one time there was a mountain lion that was sleeping in a cage in our garage. But
It was shit.
now that
It
I
was in
think
the truck.
about it, I'm not sure he was sleeping.
That was the story you told, wasn't it?
But we got to look at it. He was sleeping in the truck. Just interesting things. We had like 6,000 rabbits. And he'd say things from up the street, bring them home. We had a
Feed them to the rabbits.
we had a snake named Rudy. Where did Rudy even come from?
I saved his life. He was sheriff's officer was about to shoot him because he thought he was a rabbit. That is a recording I made many years ago. Not bad, huh?
Okay, I have a funny one.
Oh,
Give
no.
my school for Earth Day.
Oh,
And he had a mason jar. He was talking about recycling, and he was like, "Why would someone throw this awesome jar away when you can reuse it for this, this, and this? Someone just throw it away," and it slipped out his hand and shattered. So we didn't use that one.
I got their kids' attention, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. But ever since I've been little, there's been animals in my house, there's lessons going on. Yeah. When most kids run away from the geese that are like squeaking at you, we have to pick them up by the neck.
You
Is that picture in here?
Jerry,
Oh my
Jerry
gosh.
Brinker.
Jerry Brinker?
Remember the goose roundup? Jerry.
I was like 6 and I was
We
grabbing
used to, if you don't know, we used to round up as many geese as we get our hands on. You forgot the Academy Awards. Shut up.
You're 10 seconds wrong,
Jerry. So Jerry was on our crew when we used to do this, but every year back years ago, we used to actually collect all the geese in Denver and trade them to other states for things like catfish and things like that. And Jerry and I were part of this together, where we would round up about how many thousands of geese. We would because geese can't fly. Here I go to another educational. Geese can't fly like the last half of June. And you can round them up like cows. All they can do is walk. So you make a trap and you just round them up into the trap. Why can't they fly? They're molting. So they molt all at once, unlike some birds that molt over the anyway, so we would round them up like cows and we trade them to other states because we wanted them off the golf courses and the lawns around here. So I got my kids involved in that. They got to pick up geese. They always will remember smelling like geese do. Anyways, I'm not supposed to be talking.
Turn it back up.
I would just say that.
It's turned off, probably.
Yeah, I think it's off.
Music stop.
Oh, there we go. He has taught me so much in environmental education where I got to bring it into my own classroom, and I did my master's thesis on environmental education because of my dad. So I classroom, and he loved coming into my classroom. My husband somewhere also got to witness. He would do owl pelts with my students every year, which is awesome. And he would come in and do paragraph presentations. Raise your hand if you've seen the paragraph presentation. Lots of times. But, I mean, he's just willing to do it for free, for nothing, just to come teach kids about owls or whatever. So, and he's instilled that in me, and hopefully I've instilled that in my students and this guy. So,
And this guy.
here we go.
This guy, the next guy's coming in July. We're done. I'm sure that, I know that some people have stories. There's a story that, where's Mr. Ravenholt?
We really don't have the full story.
There's a, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is dangerous.
This is Douglas Ravenholt, and he's got a story to tell about golfing.
I think it's time to take a break.
Golfing, you know that,
Yeah, a combination. There were two quick golf stories. The first one that Jeff and I and Don, who's sitting right by Jeff, were partners in a foursome at Spring Valley. And as much as Jeff likes snakes, Don hates them. And we came up to number 7, and this great big bull snake started crawling up the golf cart wheel. And Don's like going crazy. And Jeff's like, oh, hi there. Puts it in a pillowcase and brings it home for the family. And he also told me he had another snake at home. And his daughters, I'm sure they would understand now, his daughters could not figure out what happened to all the little mice they used to have. He was feeding them to the snake. But the other one is, there's a hole at Spring Valley, number 8. And Jeff did not like that hole. No,
I still hate that.
and he hates it. And his slogan was, I hate 8. And he was threatening to print some bumper stickers and pass them around to all the golfers out there. But instead of doing that, he switched over to Red Hawk Ridge. And he convinced me to do a switch, so I did that switcheroo too. It was great golfing with you. Love you, man.
Thank you.
No, it's called Okay, I think another funny story is you can always call Jeff. We live in the Pinery. Most of you know that. And throughout the years, there have been several phone calls that I've had to take because when he was with the Division of Wildlife, our home phone was his office phone. The state couldn't spring for another phone line. So I would get these phone calls about, we have ants in our garage. And I'm like, Jeff, ants are not wildlife. And the other one was the raccoons in the garage. And Jeff, I don't know how many people Jeff would tell them, don't leave your garage door open if you have dog food in your garage. But the fun thing about living in the neighborhood is our other neighbors had problems too. And Kathy is going to tell about the mountain lion.
Oh.
Hey, you guys, that picture, that's the guy I fell in love with.
Sexy!
What?
Was sexy?
Oh, sorry. Is the guy I love.
We decided to have a surprise 50th birthday party for Denise. Denise Driggs and I, and Jeff planned it. And we had it at my house, and at the time I was living on 36 acres. They had plans to go out to dinner with some friends that had came down from the mountains that day. So I called Jeff about 10 minutes before they were supposed to leave for dinner, and we planned this, and I said, Jeff, you have to come over here. I have a mountain lion on my back patio. And he gets real grumpy and goes, well, I can't come over. It's Denise's birthday and we have dinner plans. So I said, oh, Jeff, please come over. Just stop by on the way. So we probably have 30 people there, maybe? 30 people. They show up, Denise comes in. I'm not sure she knows what's going on in the beginning. Her mom and dad are there. Then she realizes, but she said to Jeff, are we still going to dinner?
That's that.
this is too good an opportunity. Jeff and I have worked at the Division of Wildlife for several years and convinced him, Wayne, and Jeff and I went dove down in the southeast part of Colorado. And the one year he brought his dog along. And so we see a lot of doves flying over by this big tree. And so Jeff says, I'm going over there. So he takes the dog over there. And we hear all of this shooting. And then the dog would just bark in the storm. The problem was we never saw a bird drop. And the dog got so upset that he was racing heck with Jeff. So then the next year we got to have the privilege of going with the Olympic shotgun shooter, Corey Bedell, who is still, she was at the Olympics this last time. She's won bronze at least 2 or 3 times. Anyway, she was a great shot. We were shooting, there was a lot of doves, but the wind came up. And so Jeff was over there trying to shoot. He missed a few 100 shots. And all of a sudden, this dove comes by, just going like crazy. And she's down in this ditch, cleaning the birds, didn't even look up. And she said, Jeff, you shot behind it without even seeing it. She had his number. Anyway, I've got a lot of other golf stories, but I'll let somebody else beat him up. So, Jeff's a great guy and has done a fabulous job.
Oh, thanks, sir. Oh, geez. Little one versus the Gordon, that's this guy.
Jeff paid to see me come up here. In fact, my wife paid to see me come up here. I said, I want to go up and talk. And she was okay, but remember, public speaking is just like making love. And I said, what? Top of my game, passion, bring it? She goes, no, you can't be good, be brief. So, she's almost as mean as Jeff. I assessed the room before I told that, by the way. So I know Jeff for a long time. He used to live kind of like 40 yards above me. Me and my daughter would sneak up and use his hot tub, and he'd come out, catch us, and jump in and knock those away. And we played golf back in the day. He was so horrible. I mean, he was one of the worst golfers, and he was so animated. He'd hit the ball, and he'd be like, oh, and he'd try to leave it out of the water, and he'd cry and stop. And he's gotten much better now. He beats you, which is embarrassing. But a quick golf story, he wanted to trade in his golfs at the place. He said, hey, come over to the next, we'll give you free trade-in, big money for any golf clubs you bring in. He brings in his golf clubs. I never heard of them. I played with them. They're called Pal Joey's. And they all gather around, there's like 6 guys. They're like, you can't take these. No one in the world plays with Pal Joey's. They couldn't find him. He had the cheapest golf clubs anyone could ever get. And he's bought them at a garage sale. So now he has thousands of dollars in his bag. So, but he's been Mr. Magnanimous, you know, he saves birds, he loves doves, but Jeff has a heart inside. He has a tough guy side. So here's a story about Jeff. He's out in the middle of nowhere doing his ranger thing. He comes to kind of guy, the guy's doing something wrong. He says, hey, I'm going to have to give you a fine. I'm going to have to write you up and all that. And he has to check the guy out. He finds out this guy is an escaped murderer. Or at least he's a felon, right? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's a bad guy. And so Jeff calls in and they say, well, you're a policeman. You have a gun, right? He goes, yeah, he is supposed to be arrested. There's warrants for him. You need to arrest this guy. So Jeff's in the middle of nowhere with a guy that looks nefarious, bigger, stronger, meaner, and he comes up, got his hand in his gun, he meditates, he goes, I'm going to have to arrest you. And the guy begins to cry. Jeff was relieved. He turned around, handcuffed him, took him away. He didn't have to kill him, but he was ready to. He handcuffed a felon in the middle of the woods by himself. So he's not just another pretty face like you see on TV. He's a tough guy. So Jeff, come up here. I thought about this day. I talked to your wife about this months ago, and I.
There's a lot of other wildlife officers here who know that garbage.
No. So I have a present for you. This is not real gold, by the way. That's brushed gold.
Oh, listen.
One of my favorite, most writing instruments. It's beautiful. It's hard to steal. Since you're a tough guy, you can use it like Born Identity. Remember how he fights those guys on there?
I don't carry a gun anymore.
And it has a cool light the tall people. You can shine it on things and find bugs and rats and snakes or whatever you want. This is for you, part of your achievement of the day. You get to keep that. Don't tell anybody else so nice to you.
I won't. I was never do that, Fred. We got that degree.
Congratulations.
All right, Leslie.
Might turn it off, doesn't sound right.
Well, this is a shout out to the ladies of the bowling league and the fact that Jeff so often comes and helps us improve our scores, or at least watches as we try to do so. And it's really fun to always have him there on the opportunities that he's able to come. We just want to say thanks for being a support to our team, and I know you're a great support to Denise always.
Hi, Laura.
So I met Jeff years ago in the 80s because of the Peregrine Falcon presentation. And then we worked together in lots of different ways. I was a high school teacher, and when I was at the high school, I ended up wanting to write a wildlife crime, which became published, but in doing that, Jeff had a lead role in that. So I had to constantly be calling him, and it was a bear crime, and so it was placed in Colorado, and bears were being poached for their gallbladders, and then being shipped to other locations that were desiring those. So I had to find out from Jeff all about poaching in Colorado. And so one of the things was we, how do they actually do the poaching? What are the techniques that I had to create this whole scenario? And so he walked me through how people would bait for the bears, but then he was telling me from his own perspective for times that you would bait for bears for different reasons, which I can't even remember at the moment, but the stories that he would tell, I said, well, how do you bait for bears? And he says, well, when we do it, or when I do it, I always just go to the local grocery store and ask them for their day-old jelly rolls, jelly donuts, and day-old cantaloupe. And those are the best. I've tried everything to bait the bears, but it's day-old jelly roll, jelly donuts, and old stale cantaloupe. So that one it is. Thank you so much. And he's honored as an inspiration for students to be able to become somebody like him.
Yeah. So yeah, Laura wrote this. This is a wildlife forensic activity guide for students, for high school students, and it walks them through solving a wildlife case, and she wrote this book. So that's pretty cool.
Denise. I don't know about this, but I've known Denise and Jeff since 1988. Many of her teacher friends are here, and I worked as an administrative assistant, and I get a phone call after school, and it'd be Jeff. Is Denise still working? I said, yes, she's in her office, she's in her classroom. He said, would you always tell her that dinner's ready?
Anybody else? Oh man. Gwen knows way too much.
I'm Gwen Woodhull, and I know this family on a personal basis, having had your daughter in kindergarten. And to me, I know nothing about your occupation and what you did, because to me, you're such a personal friend. Personal friend meaning that you could ask anything from Jeff, and he would give you the shirt on his back. And that's meant a lot to me. And he also would call me Denise, and he would say, is Denise still at school working? And I didn't know if I should say yes, no, I don't know. But I usually told the truth to him. And there's been many times since I retired, and Denise and Jeff have retired, that Denise and I do things together. And when her phone rings, she knows it's time to be ready to go someplace else, because Jeff is on the phone reminding her they have to be someplace on time.
he told me a story. I've actually known him for a few years.
Start
I met Jeff
This is Jeff.
on a dive trip to the Philippines last fall. And I haven't known him very long, but we enjoyed diving with him. But when we were there, he told me a story about the time when he was a game warden. And I can't tell it very well because I wasn't there, but Jeff was. So why don't you come up and tell us a story about the time when you were the game warden and you were getting these two guys for ice fishing? And
Which story?
A lot of ice fishing.
I don't think it was ice fishing.
Oh, yeah, okay. But there's a couple of old game wardens, I don't want to call you old, Kathy, but past game wardens here.
I don't think
That,
that that's older than you are, but.
No, that makes you old still. But anyways, back when there used to be ice on Chatfield Reservoir, it's been a while since I would trust the ice there, but it was part of my area, and I would check ice fishing on the lake quite often actually, because it was so rich in tickets. There's so many people doing something wrong there. But you just can't wander out there in uniform because they see you coming. You're not going to write any tickets if they see you coming. So I had a gold brown coat and a lawn chair and a white bucket. And if you've ever been in ice fishing, you know most ice fishing have a lawn chair and a white bucket. So I put the coat on and the lawn chair and I'd wander out there amongst all of them. And eventually I just sit down in my lawn chair, get my binoculars out, and see what everybody's doing. And it was a great way to write tickets. But yeah, so an example I told the story to Jim was, I remember this one guy he had 6 rods out, and the maximum you could have was 2. And he had 6 of them out, and he was catching some fish. And so I just came out there with my lawn chair and I said, "So how's the fishing?" He goes, "Great, man, I got 6 rods here, I'm catching lots of fish." I said, "Great," and I just got my lawn chair and I sat in it, took that coat off and had my uniform underneath, and I said, "Here's your license." And anyway, so it's great to have a lawn chair because it takes a long time to write a ticket. And so
I have to tell you, he would take pictures of the people he gave tickets to because for court, so he would remember, and he'd show me, these pictures when he got home, and they all were smiling. Seriously, this guy gives you a ticket, you smile, right? You say thank you.
it's amazing. And, they're grumpy and they're cussing and they're saying all kinds of nasty things about your mother and your grandchildren. But as soon as you pick up a camera and say, "I'm going to take a picture," they go. So, I'm sure you guys have had the same experience, but it is helpful to have a picture of all of us. You didn't take pictures?
No.
Oh, it's the best thing.
You don't have his memory.
So the judge says, "Do you know who was this guy?" It was him right there. It was helpful. Helped me to remember. Anybody else?
Tell them about, there was a 10 o'clock night. I'm telling you, we got phone calls all through the night. Stay here. You're going to tell about the lady who called you at 10 o'clock at night about the poor dog.
Several times, yeah.
You have to say that.
It was 15 below 0, and I was home sleeping.
Remember those days when it was 15 below 0?
That's right. And the ice in Chatfield froze. And this lady called frantic. She actually called the sheriff's office, and they called me. That these poor ducks were frozen to the ice on this pond. And there were like 15 of them, they're frozen to the ice. And I said, "They're really just sleeping." And no, they're frozen. I'm sure they can't get up. Somebody's got to come out here and get them. Their feet are frozen in the water. And so, I could not convince them that they were just sleeping. So it was 15 below, and I got up, put my clothes on, got in my truck, drove all the way up to this pond, walked out, shooed them all away, got back in my truck, drove home and went to bed. And then again, we got a couple of wildlife folks here, several of them. If you're a past wildlife officer, raise your hand.
Stand up. Yeah.
Now stand up. There's a lot of stories from all of these people. Where's Gordon? And Jerry and Kathy.
You guys should
Who else?
look.
Yeah, anyways, it was an amazing job. It's every person who's ever a wildlife officer could write a book because the things you run into. It was a great part of my life, and it was certainly, I'm sure these guys would say the same. And we all went on to do other things in the Division of Wildlife, but those are the years where you had the experiences that you'll never forget. So.
Well, I'll tell a story.
Uh-oh. Kathy knows too much also.
You know a little too much too, but only because Jane is here. I'm going to tell this story because it was when you're young, when they put you through wildlife officer training, they're basically teaching you to go out in the middle of the BFE and work by yourself and not get killed and make it home every night. Because you have your gun and yourself and that's it. So you buy yourself out there and you're talking to all these people, and some of them are good guys and some are bad guys, and fishermen are the worst, by the way. I mean, they just think about it. Not only, as Jeff says, not only do they have a white bucket and a lawn chair, but in the summertime they have beer. And so the combination of sitting there in the hot sun drinking beer and fishing, and they're not catching anything, makes them not very nice when you go up to talk to them. But anyway, it is true that when you're a wildlife officer, not so much anymore because our younger officers have on-call schedules and they actually have the opportunity to have days off. But in the old days, back when we started, there was no such thing as an on-call schedule except during hunting season. And so if your phone rang in the middle of the night, you just picked it up and said, hello. So I used to, we'd all get called in the middle of the night because there was an injured deer, there was this problem, there was that problem, there were the ducks that were frozen to the lake, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But this lady right here was the dispatcher for State Patrol. And I didn't know for years and years who she was, I just knew it was Jane from State Patrol. But one time, I finally realized I had to apologize to Jane at her retirement party. I'll apologize again today. But, you know, you're full of yourself when you're a young wildlife officer. I'm kind of still full of myself. Right, Jerry? But anyway, Jane calls and she says, this is Jane from State Patrol. And there's a dead deer at such and such and such a place. And it was like 2 in the morning. And I was just laying there just going, this was before I was married or anything. I didn't have kids. I was a rookie, so I really was full of myself. And I just said, you think I'll still be dead at 8 in the morning? And she was like, yeah, probably. All right, good, I'll pick it up then. Thank you very much. And we all did that. It just is one of the things that happened. So anybody whose life has ever been involved in the life of a wildlife officer, somebody who goes out and does weird stuff with animals in the middle of the night has stories, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Cassie.
Also, if you get a chance, I have all of this stuff that I brought, you know, from home. I snuck out of the house. Are you impressed? This is how observant my husband is. All this stuff is missing from our house. I know. Thank you, Stephanie and Craig, for bringing it and hauling it over here, and Suzanne, wherever she is, for helping out. So, yeah. But a lot of Jeff, we've been talking about his Division of Wildlife work. But I think, for me as a teacher and a lifetime educator, I think the most important work that he did was with education and outreach. And the award that he received today was advancing that environmental education. And a lot of you have learned from him, whether you want to or not, including the saltgrass waitresses, whether you want to or not, stuff about wildlife, especially in Colorado. And if you ever wanted to go cross-country traveling with Jeff, trust me, if you don't feign sleep in the car, you're going to learn more than you ever want to know about all kinds of environments. But anyways, the most important part to me of your career and your life has been reaching out and working with young people in schools. And all this work here, and all the Project Wild, Project Aquatic Wilds, and everything you've done, helping Laura write her book, to help people understand, especially in this day and age. I think that I'm not going to get on a soapbox, but y'all know where I stand. I think that in this day and age, for generations, now I have a grandson, we need to get more people like Jeff to spread the word and educate people. And thank you again for doing that, Winston. I'm very proud of you.
tell you about the flowers on the table. So Denise said, can the flowers be delivered to your house? And I said, sure, but I said I have to leave at 10:15. This was yesterday. And so I'm waiting and waiting and waiting because they were supposed to be delivered at 7:45 in
This
the
is from
morning.
Costco, they're from Costco.
Right, they're from Costco. So now the box comes at 10 o'clock when I'm ready to leave. And I bring the box in the house. And you must have a friend in Ecuador because these flowers came from Ecuador.
Wow.
I know.
On time.
I know, so we are supporting the flower industry in Ecuador. Thanks to Costco. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say or add? Or if not, we have a lot more food. And, oh, Clark, this is our son-in-law. Who's
Hard
gonna
to be
come.
nice
This is Bowden. This is, yeah. He's got to keep earning points. This is Bowden's dad.
So I just wanted to say real quick, when I first met Jeff, when Christine and I were first dating, one of the first things that I remember, you brought a pretty big snake into your house. So it was a combination between that and the, what now? Yeah, I know that every year you went to Christine's school and helped out with the OWL pellet program.
Oh, yeah.
And which one I thought was really cool, that obviously you were still volunteering your time and helping the kids learn all about those types of things, but it also was a little interesting when Christine would bring the owl pups home and had all the little mouse skeletons and everything, so kind of always made me wonder, it's like, okay, what kind of life am I getting into? And then of course we walk into the study and he's got this gun up on a plaque, and so I'm like, okay, he's trying to scare me. But really, you know, once I got into Christine's family, and for those of you that don't know, my dad passed away a couple years ago, and you know, Jeff really kind of stepped in and kind of helped out with that role with my son and my nephews and nieces, and has really kind of made sure that they're being taken care of, and always takes the time to. It's the whole education thing, you know. He really does take the time to making sure that they're learning new things, and the love for the outdoors and everything else that he continues to share is extremely important for us and our family. Which, you know, of course, always the bug, and he's out looking at all the deer poop outside. So we look forward to the many years ahead with his support. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming. You guys came from near and far, and I really appreciate it. You know, Jeff, from all walks of life, and I'm right here. And we can now have the music play and drink. I've got a lot of food. You need to eat it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.